Should we start with the biggest wave? 97 cases today in New South Wales. A lot of those, almost, or up to 51 of them, spent some time in the community while infectious. So I just want to clarify what I mean when I say that. They were not isolated for some or all of their infectious period, or we don't know what their isolation status was through their infectious period at this point, but 51 is a lot. The one thing that I'd like to know a little bit more about today's cases is we've seen a big step up in testing. Let me just show you the overall statewide testing numbers. 77,600 tests were reported today. What a fantastic number that is. It's a daily record for New South Wales, and a lot of them, an absolute lot of them, were in the city of Fairfield and surrounding areas. That's the Western Sydney hotspots we've been talking about. A big surge in testing rates there in just the last couple of days, in part driven by a big increase in the amount of surveillance testing. This is the testing of workers who need to leave Fairfield, who now have to get a test every 3 days to ensure that they're negative, they're not seeding outbreaks elsewhere. So the big question, I think, for today is how many of these 97 cases have come from this first big day of surveillance testing results, and is that significant? By definition, any case that's been picked up through surveillance testing is almost certainly asymptomatic or symptomless. They almost certainly have not been isolating through their infectious period. So if this is a significant number of those cases, that would go some way to explaining why the numbers are up today. Of course, it would also indicate to us that there are a lot of undetected chains of transmission in the community, which is not a good thing. The only silver lining to that is if the cases exist, we do want to know about them as soon as possible to curtail their spread and try and put a stop to this. So that's one of the sort of unresolved questions. How many cases have come from that surveillance testing? Is it significant? If it is significant, that might actually be a good reason, a good argument for you to then impose some sort of testing blitz on an even greater level in that area to really try and stamp out any undetected spread. We know that, well, the Premier, the government has made it, dropped some pretty strong hints that some more restrictions or some more rules or some kind of other measures are going to be imposed at some point. They're keen to look at targeting what those responses look like, whether it's at particular industries where we're seeing, particular industries in workplaces where we're seeing more spread, whether it's particular areas we're seeing more spread, whether it's things like testing blitzes. I have no idea, but that is one place I'd start looking, is how much unlinked transmission are we still seeing in Fairfield? I suspect, we know it's more than elsewhere. I suspect it's still significant.
And of course, the other big part of the other sort of half of all of this is vaccination rates and how we're going with their vaccination rollout. We've actually had quite a good day, right?
Yeah, a record number of doses today, 175,000 or so, and we're setting records in numbers of doses every few days. It's just continuing to creep up and up. 34.5%, so it's 34.4%. These numbers don't make a gigantic difference to the overall percentage, but if every day we can get 0.1%, we'll eventually get our way close to 113% of people have both doses of a vaccine. This number, of course, growing quite a bit faster than this one at the moment, as we're seeing lots of AstraZeneca second doses are occurring. And let's just have a quick look at how the progress is going on a state-by-state basis. Yeah, we're seeing a bit of picking up of the pace in some of these states down the bottom, South Australia, New South Wales and WA. Getting close to a third of people in New South Wales now have a first dose of a vaccine.